All right, what's going on, world? My name is Ime. I'm a licensed, award-winning travel content creator and drone pilot from Baltimore, Maryland. And this is literally me just testing out this home studio, making sure that the YouTube live works. But I also wanted to make sure that I took this time just to create some content. So whether you're a creative entrepreneur like myself, or you're a business and you know that you need to create content, I kind of feel like being on live and being able to talk directly with your community is something that we all should do. Video content is not going anywhere, and especially resources and social platforms like YouTube. We're going to keep going to YouTube to find information. So, being that this is very early on in my YouTube journey, there's a lot of runway to go. I figured, hey, I might as well get used to the camera, get used to talking to this machine and creating content. Um, because there's less than 1,000 subscribers and nobody will probably see this anyway. But again, I want to get myself into the mood, into the habit of being able to talk to camera to provide value information. So, what I'm going to do today, I'm going to read a blog post from my Drone Good newsletter. If you're not signed up for this newsletter, this is all about sharing tips, tricks, inspiration, education, and then, of course, tactical things that you can do as a creative, as a beginner drone pilot, as an experienced drone pilot, to be able to help you level up your content and hopefully create demand for your work. So this is actually one of my, I would say probably my fifth or sixth post on that Drone Good newsletter. Go ahead and sign up. But it's really about what am I looking forward to this summer 2023 as a creative entrepreneur, as a drone pilot, as a creative who wants to try different forms of aerial photography. What do I want to do this summer? And what advice would I give to other drone pilots who may be thinking about, hey, what do I do this summer? So, tip number one on the blog post is research and planning. And this didn't really hit for me. I would say probably like a maybe 9, 10 months into my drone journey that I started in 2018. But it really sucks when you take all this time to travel to a place and you're thinking about all the good shots you're going to get and you can't fly there. So, research and planning. So, before you go out to your park, before you go out to the place you're thinking about flying about, do your research and planning. And this means that number one, just make sure that you can actually fly there. Just because you have a drone doesn't mean you can fly it anywhere that you want to. There are airports around, especially in places like Baltimore. There's helicopters flying around all the time. There is air traffic outside of your drone. And I'm really simplifying this, but the FAA has basically made regulations if you're in the USA, and this is applicable to you, but the FAA can determine where you can fly and where you can't fly. So, what I would hate for you to do is have this beautiful shoot in your mind and you get there and you can't fly. So, please always do your research. One of my best ways to do that is before you fly app. I can literally put in my destination or where I'm thinking about flying, and that map will show me if I can fly my drone there or if I need to get, prior authorization. Um, Please do not try to fly your drone illegally. It is better to obey and comply by the rules because let's think about it. We're in this for the long run. You want to have a good standing and you want to fly safe. So always do your research and planning before you go and fly. All right. Number two, and I didn't really learn this on until a while, but make the most of golden hour. Golden hour is completely different than any other time of day because the sun is soft, it's setting, and those golden rays are really changing the dynamics of the environment. You're going to get a lot more long shadows. You're going to get this nice kind of golden layer on top of your photos. So when you're shooting buildings or you're shooting parks or even shooting landscapes, or if you're just on vacation, you're going to tell a complete difference than when you're shooting at 12 p.m. in the day and 5 p.m. or 5:30 p.m. in the evening. There's a lot of great apps that you can use to kind of track when golden hour is happening. I personally use the Polar Pro Flare app. This is a great app for just alerting me when the sun will be which way in the sky, How low will it be? How long will the shadows be? I think they've really done a great job with this tool. So try to use the Polar Pro Flare app. Of course, there's others out there, and you could probably just ask, honestly, Google or Siri, like, hey, when does golden hour start today? And you can really use that to plan, research your shots, and plan your shots. Number three, man, and I see this in a lot of beginners. Number three is shoot away from the sun. I know a lot of times we're outside, we're traveling, we're on vacation and holiday, and you look up into the sky, you see this beautiful sunset or this beautiful sky in the sun, and you really want to create what your eyes see. Let me spare you the disappointment. Shooting towards the sun, it will never replicate your eyes. It's not possible. Your eyes are always going to be your best camera. Now, there are some cameras that come very, very close to that. But a lot of the times when we're thinking about consumer drones, whether you have an Autel, Skydio, DJI, the camera sensors aren't that advanced where they can replicate what our eyes are seeing. So, what I would highly recommend is always shoot away from the sun. Allow the sun to really illuminate the building, illuminate the subject that you're focusing on, but never shoot directly into the sun. Shoot away from the sun. The back of your drone, where more than likely if you have a DJI drone, where you put the battery in, that should be facing the sun. Your camera sensor should be facing your subject. So that's advice. And then, man, number four, please, this is especially for my beginner drone pilots. Please use ND filters. ND filters are basically sunglasses for your drone. And practically thinking, you're always pretty much going to fly your drone when there's sun outside. And again, going back to exposure and getting the right exposure, like shooting away from the sun, ND filters are going to allow you to get as close to exposure as to zero point 0.0 as possible. If you look on your DJI controller, you may see two numbers, zero point 0. Maybe sometimes it says plus 3.0, plus 3.0, or negative 3.0. That is measuring our exposure. What you're aiming for every time that you shoot is zero point 0.0 or negative zero point 0.3. I talk a lot this in a little bit more detail in my drone storytelling course, but what you need to know is ND filters. You're going to need those if you plan on shooting during the day, which is about 90, should be 90+% of your flights. Use ND filters. ND filters are going to help you get the right exposure to help your footage go from amateur looking to professional looking. And last but not least, this is probably the most important. Now, whether you have a Part 107 license or you're a recreational pilot or enthusiast, share your work. And more specifically, share the work that you want to be hired to do. Now, I'm mentioning hired, and I'm specifically talking to my Part 107 pilots because you can't get paid for your drone work legally unless you have a Part 107 license. Now, this is not a hard license to get. In terms of studying, I probably study for a good 5 to 6 days, but it's not just about passing the test. It's honestly more about understanding the fundamentals of flight. So, to all my Part 107 pilots, or if you're thinking about getting a Part 107, share your work, especially the work you want to get hired for. I know it's kind of tempting to share everything. It's kind of like show and tell, like, look what I did. But if you are a Part 107 pilot, and you do want to get into construction or you do want to get into agriculture, share that work. Share the work that you want to get hired for, and don't just share it on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. You also want to share that content on LinkedIn. That's where a lot of decision makers are spending their time most of the day. So you should be putting your platter and saying, hey, if you want more of this, if you like this kind of work, I have it here. And besides, I don't really feel like there's a lot of creatives that are taking advantage of LinkedIn. So even on someone else's time feed, you're going to stick out just because there's a drone photo there. So share your work is super important if you want to get hired. And with that being said, I mean, I didn't add this into the newsletter, but number 6, just have fun, man. It's summertime. having a drone is fun because it makes you get outside. So enjoy the time that you're outside, be safe, take into consideration all these tips. And I promise not only are you going to have more fun, but you're going to be more confident in your footage and it's going to look professional. And, that's what it's really all about growing as a creative, progressing, growing your skill set, getting better with each flight, each takeoff, one at a time. So hopefully these tips help. And of course, happy flying. And let me know if you have any questions in the comments. And if this was helpful, like let me know if this is helpful. I get a ton of questions from beginner drone pilots and experienced drone pilots all the time. And I want to be able to create value for everyone. So let me know if this works. And let me know if there's anything else about shooting in the summer or golden hour or taking aerial photos or videos that you want to know about. And I would be more than happy to help you out. All right. Until next time, stay creative and fly safe. Peace.